are doing well. Hope all is well. I'm gonna get these posted to some Telegram groups. Make sure that people know that. Make sure they know that I'm streaming. Ronaldo had just had a stream. Unfortunately, I missed it, so I'm gonna catch the replay of it. He was on earlier today. I caught a little bit of Chris White's Facebook stream, and I really think that YouTube should let Chris White out of YouTube jail. And it's ridiculous that he's not able to stream for about 3 weeks, and all Chris does is report the news and report facts. So let me get this posted to my Telegram groups out there to let them know that I'm streaming. And just hang on 1 second and get this copied and pasted. All right. So, okay, I'm getting this posted. Just hang on 1 second. All right. Okay. Recently, this is the latest report on the Meghan Markle saga, which is just absolutely ridiculous. Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's child, and granted, it's not the child's fault that the parents are so messed up, but the child is going to be born with the title of lady. Never mind that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle broke away from the royal family and that they left the country, okay? What the child needs to do, what needs to happen in that situation is that the child needs to grow up, and by the time the child gets 18, the royal family needs to give the child the decision if she wants to be titled lady or not. It is ridiculous when Meghan Markle and Prince Harry chose to break away from the royal family and leave the country that the child is still going to get rewarded the title lady. It's also ridiculous that Queen Elizabeth II is going to reward the title, is going to have a diversity officer in the royal household, when it was clearly Meghan Markle just trying to cause trouble. The investigation turned up nowhere because Meghan Markle and Prince Harry didn't name the family member who said all that. So that is just, it's just asinine. The investigation turned up where Meghan Markle and Prince Harry were clearly the ones at fault here. And they're going to get a diversity officer in the royal household, number one. Number two, they're also going to have the child, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's daughter, be awarded the title lady, which they left the country and they broke away from the family. So let me get this posted to the other, this other group. So just hang on 1 second. All right, got it. All right, so Cameron Heslop said, hello, Brett. Hello, Cameron. How are you? Hope all is well. So basically, yeah, that's what's transpiring right now with the Prince Harry and the Meghan Markle saga. With that being said, there is a vigil coming up tonight for the victims of the Atlanta shootings that had taken place, and it wasn't just Asian people that died. It was mostly people of Korean descent, and it was mostly Asians, but 2 white people died, and a Hispanic man was wounded as well. Do I think we need to stop Asian hate? Yes. Are there incidences that have involved that have increased over the last year? Yes, there has been, but this one was determined by the Atlanta police that it wasn't racism. But let's just say the Atlanta police is wrong, which I firmly believe they're right. Let's say it was. Okay. Here's the other thing that I've talked to you about, Korean massage parlors, okay? And apparently, this guy was receiving sex in those massage parlors. A lot of lower-end massage parlors in South Korea, and apparently it's like that in Metro Atlanta, are places where you can get more than a massage. I have an injured back. I have a herniated disc, herniated L5S1 disc. And when I was in South Korea, I disclosed that with bosses and everything else. And these were Korean people, by the way. They advised me, they said, go to an upscale massage parlor, because if you don't go to an upscale massage parlor, you might be having prostitutes massage you, and some STDs can be transmitted through touching. So they said, particularly if you look at an area that says Thai massage, either 2 things happen. Either the Korean mob goes down to Thailand and kidnaps those workers and forces them to come work there, or what they'll do is a lot of times they'll put ads in the Philippines and in Thailand and say, you have better opportunities in Korea, come work in Korea, but when they get there, they're being held against their will in a massage parlor, and they have to do what their customers want them to do. Are most Koreans like that? No, absolutely not, because Cameron says I have degenerative L3 and L4. I have degenerative disc disease as well, and it's not a pretty sight. So prayers for you, bro. So, like I said, most Koreans don't feel that way, and most Koreans are appalled by the massage parlors that have the lower end massage parlors that have came. That's why the upscale massage parlors charge a lot of money, but they also make a lot of money because people don't want to be, you know, having to deal with prostitutes or having to deal, you know, fund the Korean mob or anything like that. Now, here's what you got to be careful with, and this is where, and this is how things are in South Korea. A lot of times, saving face is a big thing in South Korean culture, and Koreans are naturally very nationalistic, and to their defense, Japan and China are right there with superpowers, and Russia had been a superpower for a long time, so they consider themselves a shrimp among whales. And throughout its 5,000-year history, up until about the Korean War, foreigners didn't exactly treat Korea the best. So you can understand why they're nationalistic and why they're trying to save face in this situation, but I firmly believe that it's wrong. And I've had personal experience with an injured back with people in Korea telling me which massage parlors to visit and which massage parlors not to visit. So I firmly believe that this incident is not racism. I really don't think that many South Koreans as well are racist towards white people, and I don't think they have a big fight against white supremacy that they're trying to do. Even Koreans in this country, I really think they're just trying to save face with how sleazy a lot of their lower end massage parlors are. And it didn't excuse what the guy did. I hope the guy gets the chair. He took lives, and just because somebody might be selling themselves for sexual services does not mean that somebody should get their life taken. I'm very indifferent to where prostitution should be decriminalized or not. I've never visited a prostitute, don't plan on visiting a prostitute. But if it ever gets decriminalized or legalized, I'm not going to throw a hissy fit about it either. So I really don't have a personal opinion on that, but I do understand that I firmly believe the Atlanta PD is right and that it's not, that it wasn't racism. And the Atlanta PD conducted a thorough investigation of this situation, and they did not determine that racism was involved. And the Atlanta PD Police Department is a predominantly minority organization. So let's talk about anti-Asian racism that happened in Houston, actually, yesterday. Now, there's this Korean-owned store in Houston, and it's in the African-American neighborhood, and they sell a lot of African-American hair care products like they sell wigs, they sell weaves, and they also sell hair care products that African Americans can use for their style of hair. Well, recently, two African Americans had came in there, and they were making a lot of noise, making a lot of ruckus, saying slurs, and throwing some things on the ground, but not enough to call the cops, according to the workers, but they asked the people to leave. So they left. Well, the people causing trouble come back less than a minute later, and they start throwing all the wigs on the ground. They start trashing the place, and then the workers come in there, say, the people behind the counter said, stop it, look at what you're doing. All we do is ask you to leave. Well, one of the ladies start wailing on them, starts punching the people, the workers, and the police arrested these two people, and they charged them with the hate crime. Now, based on the footage that I saw, one of the ladies may have a legitimate claim that she's innocent. She said she was trying to stop her cousin from causing all this trouble and doing all of this, but the cousin did it anyway, that she wasn't participating in any of the fight. But judging by the footage, I don't think she was a willing participant in it, but she also kind of halfway stopped her cousin from doing it. She probably could have done more. That's judging by the footage on what I saw. And a local Houston, Texas TV station had reported this. And yes, anti-Asian crime since the COVID pandemic have increased in Houston by 400%. But here's the thing. Before the COVID pandemic, there were zero anti-Asian hate crimes in Houston. This is the fourth one since the COVID-19 pandemic. So yes, it's drastically increased in most areas, except for Washington, D.C. Actually, in Washington, D.C., it's decreased. But a lot of the places had dang near zero anti-Asian hate crimes. Just hang on one second. Let me get this. Okay. Sorry about that. I had a phone call, but I'm going to text this person and say I'll call him back on a live stream. But yeah, but that is what... Hang on. Hey, I'm on a live stream. Can I call you back?
Sure.
Okay, thanks. All right, sorry about that. All right, well, so that is what happened. And so, yes, and these two perpetrators were African-American females. Typically, and like I said, not always, an anti-Asian hate crime nowadays typically involves an African-American or a Hispanic offender. The reason the Atlanta shooting, which I don't believe it was racism, but let's just say for the sake of argument that it is, the reason this thing gets a lot of publicity is because it involves a white male who did the shooting, even though largely due to the investigation that it wasn't racism. The others, they do get coverage, but it's limited coverage. Fortunately, since the Atlanta shooting, you have to give the media credit for this. They're starting to report more incidents involving African Americans and Hispanics being the perpetrators against these anti-Asian crimes, which about 70 to 80% of the time, they are the perpetrator, and in those specific type of hate crimes. And this last one in Houston was a hate crime because one of the people punching the workers, even though these workers were Korean American, he said, F China, go back to China, you effing, I don't want to get into all that, but racial slurs were uttered, so a hate crime can be charged on top of that. And it's looking like these two ladies are going to be charged with a hate crime. Now, you could argue that only one of them should be charged, but the other one, she wasn't a willing participant, but she could have done more to try to stop her friend or her cousin, if you personally ask me. So that's the latest that has happened in the United States in regards to hate crimes. Now, I've done more research on why a lot of Namibians did not want to celebrate Independence Day this year. A lot of Namibians did not want to celebrate their Independence Day this year, and their independence was declared on March 21st, 1990. So this is their 31st Independence Day. Well, a lot of Namibians just weren't happy this Independence Day because of the lack of service delivery SWAPO's been doing, the ineffective AstraZeneca vaccine against the South Africa strain of the COVID-19, the South African strain of COVID-19. The AstraZeneca vaccine is largely ineffective, but the President Gangab went ahead and did that. SWAPO has 66% of the seats in Parliament now, which is barely a two-thirds majority. But in 2014, they had 80% of the seats. So the landless people's movement, as well as the moderate popular democratic movement, have gained a lot of ground, mainly due to the dissatisfaction that many people have on the far left and the far right with SWAPO. And that's why many Namibians were not happy this March 21st. A lot of them just really didn't feel like celebrating Independence Day because at the rate their country's going. The per capita income in Namibia, even though it's higher than most, if not all of Africa, and it's considered a middle developed country, it's higher than most Caribbean and Latin American countries as well. The per capita income did drop by $500 this past year. The COVID had an issue with that, but it was dropping slowly before the COVID-19 even hit. So that's something we have to remember. Okay, in terms of South Africa, I did read that the King Goodwill Zwelithini has been laid to rest. He was 72 years old when he passed away. People say that it was complications for diabetes, but it's looking like he may have had COVID-19 as well. But the private burial was only by people close to the royal family and the Zulu royal family and people with the family. Jacob Zuma was invited to attend that burial because he's Zulu, although Mangosuthu Buthelezi, who's kin to King Goodwill Zwelithini, is not a fan of Jacob Zuma. But then also the Princess of Monaco, who is South African, by the way, Prince Charlene, not Charlize Theron, but Prince Charlene of Monaco. She was born in Zimbabwe, but she was raised in South Africa, and she attended the private burial as well. She's married to King Albert II of Monaco, and she attended it as well. Now, one thing, and this is all coming from Al Jazeera, and mostly the article was pretty objective, but one thing that they noted was they said that the KwaZulu-Natal had the biggest resistance to British imperialism, but they said that was under King Shaka. That's not true. King Shaka didn't have anything to do with white people one way or the other. King Shaka, because he saw the technological advances that the British had, 123 Garrett says, hey, Brett. Hey, 123 Garrett, how are you? King Shaka tried to make peace with the whites as much as he could. He wasn't anti-white. The only thing that King Shaka predicted was if there was internal fighting within the Zulu kingdom, that white rule of South Africa would happen. And he said that on his deathbed after King Dingaan, his half-brother, stabbed him. King Shaka absorbed the Ndwandwe tribe, the Mathitwa tribe, and all other African tribes, but King Shaka didn't resist British imperialism. The British imperialism, the resistance from British imperialism came by one of the Zulu's most peaceful and open-minded kings, King Ketchwayo, he told the British, don't encroach on our land, and we won't encroach on yours. And he tried to make peace with them, but the British kept encroaching, and that's why the Battle of Isandlwana happened. And the British were defeated. But King Ketchwayo said, don't go over to the British territory at Rorke's Drift and try to invade their territory. That is on British sovereign territory, even though it's at the edge. That's why it's on the edge. The British are trying to provoke us. Let it go. But there were some warriors that, middle-ranking warriors that defied King Ketchwayo's orders, and that's why they got their ass kicked at Rorke's Drift. And I firmly believe if you've not seen the movies Zulu and Zulu Dawn, to go see them. I highly recommend them. Let me see what I missed in the chat right here. It says, Cameron says, my ex used to do all of Charlene's bookings. Well, cool. That's awesome information, Cameron. I bet you she enjoyed that job. She probably got to do a lot of traveling, or hear a lot of stories from Queen or Princess Charlene. So that's really an excellent piece of information. So that is what's transpiring right now from in South Africa. And I'm going to miss King Goodwill as well, Athene. He did a lot of good things. He encouraged public education to have an active role in South Africa, helping defeat the AIDS crisis when AIDS plagued South Africa in the 1980s and the 1990s. Your dad was also an extra in Zulu. That's awesome. It's a good movie. I really enjoyed the film Zulu, and Zulu Dawn as well. Okay, so that's what happened. Okay, so King Ketchwayo did that. He also encouraged peace between blacks and whites, and not at first. At one point in his reign, he did call for the killing of whites, but he retracted that. He called for peace with whites. He called for Israel's right to exist. He called for South Africa to have a good relationship with Israel, and he was appalled and hated Julius Malema's anti-Israel and anti-white remarks. So I'm going to miss King Goodwill as well, Athene. He was a good man, and I firmly believe that he's in heaven with God. So that's what I firmly believe. So yeah, Mangosuthu Buthelezi was actually in Zulu as well. He played King Ketchwayo in that film. Not Zulu Dawn, but he did play King Ketchwayo in the film Zulu. But that was also during a time of apartheid, and a lot of the black Zulus that were in that movie, and I think this included Mangosuthu Buthelezi as well, they did not get paid for their role in Zulu, which I thought was a disgrace. Which I thought was a disgrace right then and there. But yeah, that is what's transpired. So yeah, I'm gonna virtually participate in this vigil for the Atlanta victims. It was a tragedy. It shouldn't have happened. I firmly don't believe it was racism. A lot of the other anti-racist incidents I have talked about, and I'm 100% against Asian hate, but you have to tell the complete truth with what's going on. In this country with the Asian hate, who the perpetrators are, when it's really anti-Asian racism and when it's really not. And I just have to, like I said, be direct with that, and I have to, speak with what's really going on. I just have to tell it like it is. I mean, whether if people get offended or not, I'm kind of like, Ben Shapiro, facts don't care about your feelings. They just really don't. And it's just don't. Facts just don't care about your feelings. That's just kind of how it is. I mean, that's just the way it is. Okay, what we need to do is we need to keep praying for Mali and Niger. I talked about this on the last live stream, but there's over 100 people dead on the Mali-Niger border, and Islamic extremism has been a problem in both of those countries. And if people don't conform to their radical Islamic ideology with a lot of these extremist groups, and these extremist groups go on a killing rampage, it was 137 victims, and it says here, Niger mourns 137 victims after their deadliest attack in recent memory. And that's just what's going on in Niger right now. Chris White did a video with Niger when Niger had their Independence Day years ago, and I firmly recommend that you guys should check that out. Niger is a key U.S. ally, and the Nigerian government it's a predominantly Muslim country, 90% Muslim, but most of the Muslims there are not radical Muslims, and they want a strong alliance with the U.S. and drive out these radical groups. A lot of these radical groups are headed in Niger, but Problem is, Niger is badly underdeveloped. Most Nigerians make their living in agriculture, and Niger has one of the highest birth rates. In their religion, as far as I know, they don't believe in birth control. And when Chris Wyatt worked with a guy in Niger, his chauffeur, the chauffeur said he was one of 47 kids. His dad had like 3 or 4 different wives, and he had 47 total kids. So the guy had at least 46 at least half siblings. I don't know how many full siblings he had. But Chris Wyatt talked about that in his Niger video. And Niger has a very high birth rate. They're badly underdeveloped. And so a lot of these radical Islamic extremist groups are allowed to recruit frustrated people that are just frustrated with their life in Niger because there's limited working opportunities for the average person in Niger. And that becomes another problem as well. So, you need to get the economy in Niger started, and maybe the recruitment of a lot of these radical Islamic extremism groups will go down. Not saying it will, not saying it won't, but I'm saying I think that is a viable option for how to help the current situation in Niger, Africa. So that's just what I firmly believe. And that's just what I firmly believe will take place. So if you guys have any questions or comments, please, you can ask them. Be happy to answer any questions that you guys may have. But yeah, this is so basically that was the news that I wanted to talk about. But just yeah, but that's the news that's going down in the United States and the United Kingdom as well. But I just think it's ridiculous that the royal family has to employ a diversity officer in their royal in the royal family, when clearly it was Meghan Markle trying to cause a lot of trouble. Meghan Markle could not keep staff for longer than 3 months on average. And if somebody can't keep staff for that long, that shows you how difficult somebody is to deal with. Also, I mean, and Prince Harry's crying, saying that all I have is my mother's inheritance. I checked the interest on that. The interest from that inheritance is $640,000 a year. Now, granted, they live in California. Granted, the cost of living is a lot higher than it used to be. But here's the thing. I don't know Meghan Markle's net worth, number one. But number two, that the estate they bought was $11 million. The lesson there is live within your means. This is not way above this is way above your means. If you're only making $640,000 a year, you cannot afford an $11 million house. I mean, and then they started a GoFundMe page for them, but the GoFundMe page had to close because only $110 was donated. You telling me that you cannot find a decent house making $640,000 a year? And Meghan Markle is not exactly broke. She's got millions as well. So if you combine their millions, I firmly believe, because let me say, let's just give an estimate. Let's say they're combined worth $25 million, and they have $25 million in the bank. This is just a guesstimate, okay? I'm using this calculator here. You have 25 million US dollars, okay? 25 million, I'm going to multiply that, 4% interest. If you have $25 million in the bank between both of you, you are making $1 million a year just living on the interest. Just by living on the interest, you're making $1 million a year. You tell me you cannot get by with just making $1 million a year. That is just asinine. Now, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry said they did the interview with Oprah Winfrey for free, but I firmly don't believe it. Meghan Markle is very lying, and she's very manipulative. I don't have proof to beyond that to say that they didn't do it for free. I'm saying my personal opinion is I don't think they did it for free. Now, I don't have proof of that, but that's my personal opinion. And if they provide proof that they did it for free, I will admit that I was wrong in that situation. But I firmly believe they did not do that interview for free. And yeah, I mean, I just firmly believe that. And the GoFundMe page that was created for them had to close due to lack of interest. And you really can't blame people for that. I mean, it had to close due to lack of interest, but you can't blame people for that because, you know, they bought an $11 million place to live. Okay? That's ridiculous, and that's asinine. If your family cut you off financially and you just have to live on what you have in the bank, never mind, that's probably about $1 million a year, then you don't buy an $11 million home. That's just common, basic economics. That's just not something that you do. And I mean, like I said, I'll ask you guys what you think about their daughter that was born that is going to get the title lady. I mean, granted, it's not the child's fault that her parents are idiots. I mean, I get that. But this is still what bothers me. I mean, they broke away from the family and they left the country. Why don't you just don't give the title to that daughter until she gets 18, and then she can decide if she wants to become a lady in the royal family or not, and let it be left up to the child, but when she gets old enough to make her own decisions. So reserve the title at a later date is my opinion on this situation. Ask you guys in the comments section what you guys think. So what I think is reserve the title on a later date and let the child, when she gets 18, decide what she wants to do in this situation. Now, the latest news out of Mozambique. Now, this is some good news. I don't know how the Mozambican military is very under-equipped, but the Mozambique military launches an offensive after another attack by Al-Shabaab. Not the Al-Shabaab in Somalia, the Al-Shabaab in Mozambique. Okay? And it says here, Al Jazeera reported this. It says, rebels invaded town of Palma, the hub of a giant gas project, as violence continues in the Cabo Delgado region. Fighting, I thought Harry and Meghan had a son. They did. I think they just had another kid. Either they're pregnant with that kid or they just had another kid, but they're on the verge of getting another kid where it's going to be a family of 4. And it says here, fighting around the strategic Mozambique town of Palma entered a second day on Thursday as ISIS-linked fighters occupied and ransacked it despite French energy giant Total, that's the name of the company, the French energy giant Total, claiming it was secure. Mozambique's government said the town in its northeast province of Cabo Delgado, about 10 kilometers from gas developments worth $60 billion, came under a 3-pronged attack on Wednesday, and security forces moved in to establish order. Bodies were visible in the streets, some of them beheaded. This just shows you how sick the group Al-Shabaab is. Some of them were beheaded, and helicopter gunships exchanged fire with the attackers, and a security source told Reuters news agency. The attack came shortly after French oil giant Total announced plans to resume construction of a nearby site of a $20 billion offshore gas project. Defense Ministry spokesman Omar Saranga said Mozambique security forces were pursuing the enemy's movement and working tirelessly to restore security and order. So just pray for the Mozambican military. Pray that they get that situation under control. And Mozambique's got some beautiful beaches, and apparently they got some oil reserves. And if the ISIS-linked Al-Shabaab could be defeated, doesn't the title go to only firstborn? Okay. As far as I know, though, amongst females, and I'm not talking about like princess or queen or anything like that, but as far as I know, if you're a female born into the royal family, you get or related to the royal family, you get the title lady. And they're going to give the title to this daughter. Never mind, that Meghan and Harry broke away from the family. And and like I said, and that's kind of created like a fuss and a ruckus, because they left the country and abandoned the family, but nevertheless, they're going to get the title. They're going to get the title lady to Harry and Meghan's daughter. And here's my personal opinion. My personal opinion is I don't believe she loved him. I don't believe she ever loved him. I think he loves her, and I think he fell in love with her, and he's just blinded to how manipulative and how bad she actually is. So like I said, I think he's in love with her, but I don't think she's in love with him. I mean, it is just funny to me. And also, I mean, this has been on the news. This has been on the American news before. Meghan Markle is toying with the idea of running for president in 2024 or 2028 on the Democrat ticket. She says she might want to run for president. And it's borderline comical. But she says she might want to run for president. She thought being in the royal family, she could speak out on her political opinions and have political blogs and everything else, but if you are a member of the royal family, you have to be politically neutral. You got to be particularly politically neutral in UK and United States affairs. That is protocol if you belong with the royal family. Now, whether if you disagree with that or not, that's your business, but you have to do that. And that is, you have to be politically neutral, and you have to keep your political opinions in regards to the United Kingdom and United States affairs to yourself. That is protocol. And she had to have known that marrying Prince Harry. The reason I know that is, or I believe that is because a lot of her British friends some of her British friends told her not to marry Prince Harry because they said if you marry into this royal family, the tabloids are going to be all over you like they are over any other member that marries into the royal family. You have got to be able to handle the British press. And she just dismissed those warnings, and then look at what happened. Yeah, well, Ronald Reagan was an actor. Cameron Haslop says if she wins, she'll be the second actress to become president of the USA. That is true. Ronald Reagan was an actor, but he was a good president. We enjoyed economic prosperity under Ronald Reagan. Unemployment was at an all-time low. The Soviet Union dismantled a lot of their weapons under President Ronald Reagan. And if Meghan Markle ever becomes, 757 GR33N says, hi, how are you? Well, 757, I'm doing well. How are you? But if Meghan Markle becomes president, she'll terminate the US-UK special relationship. She'll lecture people about climate change, but then when she does that, she'll be flying around in her Gulfstream 5 jet, which releases 4 times the amount of carbon emissions into the ozone layer than does a regular commercial jet. Ronald Reagan wouldn't have done things like that. And plus, Ronald Reagan was a big name actor in Hollywood during his time. Meghan Markle was a low-level actor who had limited roles in a lot of television shows. Most people, honestly, in America did not know who she was. They did not know her. 757, how do you feel about the aliens flying around in the sky, man? I don't believe in UFOs or aliens, so you're asking the wrong person. I like the film Aliens, directed by James Cameron, and the film Alien, directed by Ridley Scott. I like the Alien film series, but I don't believe that shit's real. So that's basically the difference. And she was a low-level actor. Nobody in America, and I can tell you this, nobody in America really knew who she was until she got engaged to Prince Harry. There are rumors that she did that so she could get a lot of acting roles because she was trying to break it big in Hollywood, which was something she never did. There are rumors on that. Can't say that it's all right, 757, you sound like a troll. Sea Star Monster, like I said. And yes, 123 Gearhead, I do believe in Jesus. I'm a Christian. Yes, I am a Christian. And I do believe in Jesus Christ, and I believe that he died for all man's sins. You asked? Now, also, but this is a lighter subject. Well, actually, but it makes more sense with UK politics. Ji Hyun Park, who is a North Korean defector to the UK. She is running for political office in her city in the UK. Now, I don't know if it's mayor or city council, but she is running for a political position, and she's chosen to run for the Tories and the Conservative Party versus the Labour Party. And and she said, now the Conservatives have wanted to limit immigration, particularly from the Middle East, and they wanted to limit unrestricted immigration because that's made England a lot more vulnerable to terrorism. And I firmly believe it has. But the reason she decided to go with the Conservative Party is because she said she believed in a lot of what they value in terms of individual freedom and also family and also patriotism. So Ji Hyun Park actually saw a lot of my YouTube videos on North Korea when I talked about the situation in North Korea. And I firmly believe that if she wins, she will be a good politician for the United Kingdom. So I wish her all the best in that situation. I firmly believe she's going to do well. And I posted, if any of you guys are friends with me on Facebook, I posted that on my Facebook timeline as well. And I firmly believe that she's gonna win. Now, President Biden delivered his very first press conference as President of the United States. Now, this is ridiculous. He didn't deliver that press conference until, all right, 757, okay. 757, I'm putting you in timeout, and then if you come back with a lot of this, you are gonna be booted. Sound like a troll with some of those comments that you have. This is your warning. Your warning is I'm putting you in timeout, and you're more than welcome to stay here If you want to talk about things that are relevant to the discussion and it's not off the wall stuff, but it sounds like you're just being a troll. I'm not saying you are a troll. I'm saying you're acting like a troll. Big difference. So that's that. All right. So 64 days into the presidency, he delivers his first press conference. And I thought he did all right. I mean, it wasn't nothing spectacular. I mean, it just wasn't. And I don't vote for somebody based on if they give a good press conference or not. But what gets me is the media is so in his corner, it's not even funny. He wasn't asked a lot of tough questions. Excuse me. He was only asked he wasn't even asked any questions about the COVID-19 and how to contain the COVID-19. He wasn't asked tough questions. The media just kind of just let him, just didn't really drill him like they would drill President Trump or former President Trump. It was just asinine that the media just let Joe Biden off with a free pass in this press conference. He wasn't asked any tough questions, and he was just, let off scot-free basically from that press conference. And that's just basically a sad situation, I firmly believe. But that is what's transpired that's what's transpired with the latest President Joe Biden's press conference. So yeah, that's what happened. All right, I'm going 36 minutes. I'm going to probably go about 14, 15 more minutes. If you guys have any questions or any comments, please feel free to, if you have any questions or any comments, please feel free to comment right down there. And what I was going to say is, as far as Shaka Zulu, I've talked about this before. I really respect the Zulu culture and the Zulu nation, but I do not think that King Shaka is somebody that they should be glorifying. Shaka Zulu murdered a lot of innocent people. He absorbed the Ndwandwe and the Mthitwa tribes, and he killed a lot of innocent people. He killed any woman that he impregnated because he didn't want somebody to take his place, even in death, with the Zulu throne. He wanted to be like this eternal being. And then he's glorified. I mean, they named an airport after him in Durban, the King Shaka Airport, and I do not think that Shaka Zulu is somebody that should be glorified. And he was a brilliant military strategist. I'll have to give him that, and he had good military strategy skills. But when he led his soldiers into battle, he had sandals that he ran in to protect his feet, but he wouldn't let his men run with those with the sandals because he said running barefoot would strengthen the calluses on their feet. So he really didn't lead by example very well. And that is something that is why I'm not a fan of Shaka Zulu, to say the least. And I really think that in Durban, that the airport, and there's a statue of King Shaka at the airport as well, that they shouldn't be glorifying Shaka Zulu the way that they do at that airport. I firmly believe. That's just my personal opinion, but I firmly believe that King Shaka should not be glorified in the manner that he is. And there was this TV mini-series that was made back in 1986, but it was called Shaka Zulu, and Henry Sele played King Shaka, and I believe that was fairly accurate with how Shaka's life was, and I firmly believe that people should watch that show, too. That really explains how Shaka really was, and I firmly believe that people, like I said, should watch that show. So, Henry Sele was a former South African soccer player, and then he turned to acting. Years later. So yeah. If you guys have any, if you guys have any more questions or comments, please feel free to comment. Now, I don't know if South Africa has banned travel to and from India, but I do know a lot of Indians in South Africa are firmly tied to their motherland, to India. Like if you go to Durban with a cricket match, it is majority India fans typically. About 90% of Indian South Africans there cheer for India, and only about 10% of them cheer for South Africa. A lot of the 6475 DR. If you do that again, I will kick you off the channel if you post or say any more inappropriate things, plain and simple. Well, talking about the cricket situation. All right. Well, anyway, the COVID-19 situation in India is getting out of control, particularly in the state of Maharashtra, which houses its largest city, Mumbai. And yeah, India is cutting back on their vaccine exports as infection surge. CNN did an article on this that says India records spike in COVID-19 cases as several variants detected, prompting fears of a second wave. India on Thursday recorded 54,476 new COVID-19 cases, marking the highest single-day rise in cases since October 23rd, according to a CNN tally of figures from the India Ministry of Health. The country has been reporting more than 35,000 new cases daily for over a week, and a recent surge in cases after they fell in January and February this year. So please keep India in your prayers. And South Africa, for the time being, I firmly believe needs to ban travel to and from India. I do know some Indian South Africans who have gone to and from India before. I don't think they need to be doing that at the moment. Now, on the South Africa cricket situation, and why not? During apartheid, people rooted for everybody who was playing against the Springboks. And I don't blame them. Apartheid was a racist system. I really don't blame them. Apartheid was a racist system. Well, I'm going to root for anyone that's playing against the Proteas. The way they have just basically kicked all white South Africans out of cricket. They're one of South Africa's best cricketers who's been has offered to help the Proteas and help coach them, but he was denied that coaching position just solely the fact of his skin pigmentation, that his skin pigmentation was white. Well, 6475DR says Born Canary. Yeah, I mean, I agree. The Born Canaries were an excellent U.S. soldiers from Puerto Rico that did excellent things in the Korean War, and I recommend the Born Canaries. I highly respect the Born Canaries. That's a different video for a different day. But the black bowlers on the cricket team right now, the bowlers are doing really, really well. But right now, they're having trouble, and this was articles from sports articles, they're having trouble getting a lot of black batters to hit the ball really well. So at the rate that this is going, that South African cricket over the next few years is going to lose, but they're going to lose a lot of close games. And I'm not going to cheer for the Proteas if they have that racist system that they have. And it's not a quota system where so many of their starters have to be black like the Springbok rugby has, which I don't agree with either. But they're kicking people out of South Africa cricket because they are white. They're not letting people get South African cricket coaching jobs because they are white. This is a whole new level of systemic racism. So I'm not going to cheer for a team that implements all that. So that's the latest news on South African cricket. But I'm not a fan of South African cricket and that right now, and I'll tell you that is why. So anyway, all right. Well, it looks like I've gone about 43 minutes. I'll let you guys go. Thank you guys for tuning in, and hope you guys have a very good weekend. Hope everybody's doing well. Take care. God bless, and bye-bye. Bye-bye.